According to reports, Celtic are trying to do a deal similar to the ones that were done earlier in the season for Callum McGregor, Kyogo, Dyson Maeda, Leo Labada, Stephen Welsh, Tony Ralston, Rio Hatate and Matt O'Reilly. You've got to remember they've all penned new deals this season so far, but it's understood that Cameron Carter-Vickers and Greg Taylor are also on the radar of Celtic to get extended deals. But it comes to mind that there's one Celtic player that last night was blocking out the noise from Celtic fans, stuck his finger in his ears after he scored a cracker of a goal. And when you look back at the player that signed on the 27th of December 2020, it probably wasn't the best time to sign for Celtic, let's be fair. But it wasn't the best of seasons that season, let's say. But David Turnbull did sign for Celtic, and on his Instagram he put, "New chapter, absolutely buzzing, let's go." And then it wasn't until the 12th of September 2020 that he made his debut. Great feeling to make my debut today. Great result, more to come from him as a player. Now when you listen to fans, and I'm going to read some of the comments from fans, especially on Twitter. Celtic losing empty seats. David Turnbull, we're one sorrow shout away from the full COVID Lenny Ball. That's one guy on Twitter. Next one, I'm not going to say their names. Mikey Johnson and David Turnbull wouldn't even get on the park for Hibs. Watching Celtic, I always love it when people call Celtic Celtic and even spell it like that, SELLICK. Watching Celtic in my cosy bed instead of having tea. Watch David Turnbull in the freezing cold. David Turnbull goal celebration last night was very bizarre. What was that about? It says another one. When you look at it, he was blocking out the noise. His cryptic message to Celtic fans. And let's face it, Celtic fans are making a lot of noise just now. And it's probably a lot of unwanted noise, let's be fair. Let's concentrate on the football from now on, Celtic fans. Turnbull did last night what David Turnbull can do. David Turnbull has it in his locker to score fantastically good goals for Celtic. Screamers like he did last night. If you look at the amount of goals that David Turnbull has scored, the ratio to shots from outside the box, it's probably up there with the high. Probably most of his goals comes. There's never a tap-in from David Turnbull. His cryptic goal celebration as a midfielder blocks out the noise from Celtic fans. And let's face it, David Turnbull netted an absolute screamer to drag us back into the okay, hands up. He hit the post with the penalty. It does need to be the case that, why is Kyogo not taking the penalties? You would think that he was unlucky. Let's just put it down to pure, sheer unluck. But David Turnbull last night immediately put his fingers in his ears, suggesting that he was blocking out the noise from fans that have been saying online that he's not good enough. The 24-year-old barely broke a smile when he scored the goal. Certainly wasn't grinning 10 minutes later when he smashed the ball off the penalty post. But is it the fact that there's maybe things going on in the background that we don't know about, that Celtic are in talks with him, and maybe that he's just blocking out the noise and proving what he can do on the pitch? A lot of people think that he's not worth the new contract. You've got to remember, with the new allocation of homegrown players needed for Europe, I think it would be in Celtic's best interest to protect their investment of over £3 million in David Turnbull and give him that new contract, just to have as a squad player more than anything. If he doesn't want to be a squad player, you can fully understand that. It wasn't when he came to Celtic, it wasn't long after, it was about a year later, that he managed to get his call up for Scotland. And you've got to remember, in May 2021, he did get Young Player of the Year in Scotland. So he does have it in his locker. He maybe hasn't had the chance often enough. He did feature a lot the first half of the season under the previous manager, and then he was completely frozen out last year by the manager, but he was given that chance again. Now, even Matt O'Reilly said at the beginning of this season, he said that, look, there's one player at Celtic that was being unfairly treated the previous season, and that was the one and only Matt O'Reilly, talking about David Turnbull. Proud moment to make my first debut and first start for Scotland. That was the 3rd of June 2021, when David Turnbull, because of his form at Celtic, got his first call-up to the international team. Now, obviously, he's not been in the international team much since then due to the fact that he didn't play a lot of football. But should David Turnbull be given a new contract? This is the question. Will he accept a new contract if he was offered it from Celtic? It's maybe the season that... it's maybe the time that Brendan Rodgers can work his magic on the player and get him to turn up on a more regular basis. There is some comments online saying, look, David Turnbull turns up for a game, scores a banger against a really bad team. I'm not going to say exactly what it says. Starts a big game, disappears. Fans want him out of the club, doesn't feature for ages, go back to step one. The vicious David Turnbull cycle. Tell me what you think in the comments. Should David Turnbull get a brand new contract? I think for one, yes, just because we needed all the Scottish players that we can for the international, the European games. It might not be the best player that we have in midfield, but when a player can do what David Turnbull can, I mean, when you look at that goal last night, the ball comes in for Greg Taylor. It was a kind of slack ball for Greg Taylor. Matt O'Reilly, you think Matt O'Reilly is about to lose the ball. Matt O'Reilly then goes in for a sliding tackle just to get the ball away, hits it to David Turnbull. David Turnbull takes one touch, bang, top corner. You know, right into the net. An absolute screamer from way outside the box. He has that in his locker. Tell me what you think in the comments. And on that note, have a fantastic day, David Turnbull, and all the Celtic fans all around the world.
Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party.